So welcome everyone to today's webinar about from product design to ecosystem design by Gustavo Segovia from Blockchain for Humanity. Welcome. Gustavo? Gustavo, can you please unmute yourself?
Hi, Eric. I got lost for half a minute.
No worries, no worries. Can you please switch on your camera?
Yes, cool. You already presented me?
Yeah. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what we'll be doing today and yeah, what cool things you can teach us.
That's okay. Yeah, cool. So thank you for that presentation that I actually missed. So my name is Gustavo. I'm a collaborator in Blockchain for Humanity. I do several things there. In Blockchain for Humanity, we were created like 3 years ago, and back then we have been supporting a lot of blockchain projects that are focused on social impact. And one of the things that I'm doing there, I'm a design thinking facilitator. I help teams to get together their ideas, their talent, and catalyze and offer them some tools, some new things to think about in order to produce a new outcome, a new product. So this is more or less what our talk of today is about. Okay, it's called product and ecosystem collaborative design. We want to share some tips, some tools, some methodologies that could help your design process when you are struggling working with teams that are not in the same space and the same physical space, but you have to connect with different digital channels, different processes, and so on. So yes, the talk today is just about best practices. So I'm starting to share my desktop because I have a presentation here to share with you. So just this one here. Okay, so I will ask you to please confirm that you're able to see my presentation right now.
It's loading. Yeah, no, I can see.
Okay. It's still there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, again, we are going to talk about product and ecosystem collaborative design. But this talk is split in two parts. Okay, the first one we will be talking about just best practices as what regards product design. We are not going into the ecosystem part, but this is going to be more explained in the second part because we will see that one is kind of the input of another. So I will really love to be this talk as more as inclusive and exchanging as possible. So I really encourage people to leave their mute button off. Okay, and if you want to interrupt me, if you want any questions, any of you can do. Of course, if then this is a chaos and everyone is talking, we will regain a little bit the organization. But until another notice, please interrupt me. So let's make a try. Who's going to interrupt me the first? Okay, let's make a second try. What is a product? Who wants to make a step in advance and tells me what they understand about what a product is? I'm interpreting this silence as there is no one there, so I'm worrying about a little bit. Are you guys okay, or you guys just don't want to speak up?
Guys, don't be so shy.
Oh, well, I can admit a little bit of shyness at the beginning of this talk, but I really expect that this is changing in the in the next couple of hours. So first of it, I will give you what is my I lost the word in English. The meaning that I give to the word product, and I see product just as a link between an organization, a company, for-profit, or even a not-for-profit organization with a market. Okay, and they interface, they communicate with each other through a product. There are different phases, of course, in when a product is being delivered from an organization to a market, but in a very simplistic overview, it is what you see there. There is an organization offering a value proposition to a market, and there is a market answering back with their money or even with their data. We know that today data is equal to money. But how do they do that? They do that not from one day to the other. They do that from a very deep process for product designing with a very clear goal, especially when they start putting in the market a new product. And that goal is the product market fit. Okay, if we are constructing a web application with a lot of cool features and user experience, but there is no product market fit, that web application is not serving the market needs, or is not taking into account the final customer, we won't be talking about a product. We will be talking about just stuff that people are building, but no one is using. So this whole talk is very oriented to that, to avoid building stuff and focus on building product. I think this is critical, especially in hackathons, because at least in my personal experience in hackathons, it can be that you have a lot of really intelligent hackers and programmers, but they don't have idea about what market they are tackling. So all of this will be about putting ourselves in the shoes on the market, understanding the whole context of our final customers, and from there we will start to design our products. And how do we do that? The way that I will propose today for doing that, for finding a product market fit, is a combination of two really big macro tendencies. Okay, the first one is what we call design thinking, this part of the left. Okay, design thinking is a really chaotic process. There's no order at all. There is some facilitation. There is some people guiding the teams there, but it can be very, very, very chaotic when you actually don't, maybe you're not understanding what you're doing. So the idea today is to not to avoid chaos, because chaos will be important for the creative process, but how to let's say channelize chaos, how to take advantage of chaos, to take the best of it, and to go concretizing that chaos into a more focused thing that we are going to call a product, and then start in a second phase that is more oriented to deployment. Okay, that in today we know that this is very handled by a paradigm that is called the lean startup, okay, which is just proposing a way for teams building products, to build stuff, to measure and to learn, and to do a continuous iteration process. Why do we need to iterate in our market? Because we are living in an environment, we are living in an industry in which innovation is happening every single day. There is a lot of offers, there are a lot of competitive advantage proposals that are going there. So when we are building up a project, we need to have that mindset to adapt with the market and to continue to interact on what we do in order to fit in the best way the expectation of our markets. So yeah, design thinking, this concept of design thinking came in from, I think, a couple of decades ago. The pioneer was this guy called Tim Brown. He was a product designer and an industrial designer, okay, who realized that only the designers were, not only the designers were designing things, okay, there were a lot of products, a lot of organizations designing products, designing systems, designing different types of offers, even communication campaigns, or whatever. You could design anything, even a process, but they were doing that in a very programmatic way, with no taking into the consideration the customer. Okay, so product delivery was just a one-way flow in which an organization just has something to offer and it puts it into the market. If the market accepts this, is okay. If not, well, that organization will probably fail, of course. But when approaching the different kind of activities from design thinking, what we're doing is putting the customer in the middle of our design process. So this is how we are defining design thinking. It's a human-centered approach, okay, for innovation that draws the designers to integrate the needs of people, the possibilities of technologies, and the requirement of business. It's a combination of those three big areas. Okay, when we have an idea to put on our market, we want to assure that that idea is viable from the business point of view, which means this is going to give us back money, and it's not only to be costs, for example. It has to be feasible from a technology point of view. It needs to be realistic. Let's say if you want to build up a spaceship, well, you have to have the technology at your disposal, of course, in order to make that feasible. Last but not least, and on the human values, on how usable or desirable this product will be for the final customers. Okay, so when we are working with design thinking, we need to program ourselves and our teams that if we are in a design thinking process, we will always be in one of these modes that you see here. Those modes are 5: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Okay, and these you see them. They're a sequential modes, but they are not. Okay, this is just a first proposal. Maybe it could be sequential, but when you're in your design process, you can jump from one mode to the other, depending of the needs of your team. Okay, so here I'm going to explain a little bit of one mode of each mode. Sorry, and it all starts with empathy. Okay, empathy is actually the foundation of our human-centered process. To empathize, we need to observe our customers. We need to see their behaviors, in what context they live. We also need to engage, if possible, interact with them, understand it even better. Defining is when you have already a lot of information from your customers and from your empathy findings. Okay, you will need to target a scope. Okay, to define some insights and to be more specific in order to achieve a meaningful challenge. Sorry. The ideate process, we want to promote more our creative brain of thinking, and this is us like to push for new ideas, to be not just judgmental, and to promote that the aggregation of different ideas coming from different expectations of your team. And then we have the last two parts, which are very important as well. We have the prototype and the test phase. We are calling about prototype because we need to build something as soon as possible that have node features to put it in the market and start validating our assumptions, our initial assumptions. Okay. A lot of the things that we are going to do will start from our assumptions, and we need to remember that assumptions are that assumptions, something that we believe that might or might not be true. Okay, so the sooner that we convert an assumption into a true or into a fake, the better. So when we are prototyping, it's okay to fail. Okay, we allow ourselves to fail, but the important thing is to fail fast and to fail cheap. And of course, testing. Well, testing is that part in which you got your prototype, you put it in your market, and you start to gather the data about what is working and what is not. This image here is just for contextualizing a little bit that you can transition easily from one mode to the other. Yes, sorry, I still have the point. Okay. And again, this is just a different framework, but the idea is more or less the same that we have spoke before. So when we are starting into a design thinking process, and again, I don't want you guys like to follow a full design thinking process. I'm just so far putting you a little bit into context in case this is something very, very new to you. Okay. And from now on, I'm gonna give you some tools and methodologies that you guys will be able to use when you're facing a challenge, a specific challenge within your team, even if it's from product design or sorry, or even in the process within your team for coordinating and communicating. So we need, in a macro level, these 4 requirements. The first one is, of course, the people. We need the people. We need a team. If we have a team of diverse people among each other that are related with the business part of the product, with the technology part, and also with the market part, even before, if you have more profiles there, the better. Then we need some tools, okay? That our tools, depending on our on each cases, but I'm assuming that your teams are located in different spaces, in different cities. So we need digital tools. The first tool that I can talk about is Discord, for example. Put a Discord channel for your guys and discuss your design process there. But also you need collaboration tools, like it could be Miro itself. We're going to talk about a lot about Miro today. The space. Usually you need design thinking is not designed per se to be in the cyberspace, okay? But times are changing and we need to adapt that a little bit. So be prepared for that. Be prepared to assume some challenges that are due to the fact that your guys are not in the same locations. So you need to be also more patient with that. But don't worry, we're going to talk about those things. And last but not least is the attitude. Okay, as I told you before, the same thing, it could be very chaotic, but I promise you that it delivers results. So even if when you think that you're doing an activity that is nonsense, that is going to lead you nowhere, the most probable thing is that it will, because we need to get lost before finding the solutions, because only by that we can assure the best quality in the solution that we deliver. So a positive attitude and just a way to move forward and push their teams is also very important in this. We need to go be very as visual as possible. We are going to produce a lot of information in our design thinking dynamics that we need to trace somewhere. Okay, usually you have one big room for a team of 6 or 5 people. These teams should be biggest than 6, 7, I will say. If not, the process is getting complicated. But again, we need to trace everything we do. If it's not Miro, if you prefer a Google folder, a Google Docs things, or something like that. This is totally up to you what tool you are going to choose. But Miro is, at least is my recommendation, because it's just a board in which you can keep things super visual, and it's more we are the same thinking process is based a lot into visual communication, so we are gonna need these kind of things. This is one of the different, let's say, maps of how do you walk through a complete design thinking process. This map is called the double diamond. Okay, and again, this is just one of the different paths, but in my perspective, this is super useful because it will remind the team that we need what I was telling you before. We need to get lost to then find us. Okay, so we are going to talk about diverging phases versus converging phases. A diverging phases is a phase in which we are open, we are not judgmental, we can't judge at all. We are allow ourselves even to have silly ideas, even to have contradictions, whatever kind of things we gather or we put into our process will be accepted when we are diverging. But when we are converging, things are different. Things are the opposite. Okay, when we are converging, we will need to focus. We will depart from a very defocused state. Okay, but we need to get concrete. We need to deliver. We need to define stuff. So that's about converging. So, and there are two phases, as you see, of diverging on converging. The first diamond that you see there is on doing the right things, is on finding the proper problem to tackle. Okay, is to decide what is the best that we can deliver as a team. Okay, while the second diamond, okay, which is we see it here called as doing things right, okay, is more focused on how we are going to solve that problem. Okay, and when doing that, doing it in the best way as possible. We're gonna walk through this, and I'm gonna share like different methodologies that you can apply while you are hacking during this hackathon. So the first one is start with the why. Okay, why are we doing this? What brings us here? What is the challenge? Okay, what challenge do we have in front of us? Okay, that is our starting point, and from that starting point, we need to continue questioning things. One of the most meaningful questions that I find when starting a process like this is to ask what pissed you the most out of the world. What are these awful situations that you are seeing in your environment, in your community, that you think you guys can solve somehow? So I start defining those. And if your why is just because of the money, if you want to deliver a product just because you know that this will give you some money, I will tell you personally that you are in the wrong place. Okay, maybe 100 years ago, just purpose, money-driven purpose were useful. It was a situation there, so the one that wants to make more money wins it all. I deeply believe that the paradigm is changing, and money shouldn't be placed as the why you are doing stuff. But of course, if what you are delivering will give you as a result, as a what, some money back, that will be awesome. Okay, I'm not telling that you shouldn't be working to gain money. No, that's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that what puts a team together in order to design a new solution, okay, should be a challenge, okay, should be a purpose, not just I want some money. We need to when we are in these processes, we need to take consciously a beginner's mind. Okay, we need this in order to allow our brain, allow our thinking just to think differently. Okay, because one of the main causes that block us when we are constructing something is actually that we think we know it all, we have all the experience in the world, so we really struggle to see details or some particularities that if you see that, you will be solving everything more easily. This is also a good strategy when you are starting whatever design activity. Okay, is just to choose design principles among your team. These design principles are useful to be there as an oracle, to be there as a source of truth somehow, to remind you guys who you are when you are lost in the process, when you are having conflicts in deciding A against B. So if you defined a priori some design principles with your team, this can be super useful because in the moments of it's like a puzzle. Okay, when you're lost, you just see your design principles, you remind your team what are your design principles, so then it will be get easiest to take any decision. These are just an example of what design principles are, and these particularly are the design principles of good designing according to this guy Dieter Rams. Don't get stuck for this. This is just an example. The only people that are able to decide on the design principles are you guys, are the product manager, are the developers, the business side, that team working together on a solution. So again, on empathy, we're still on our first diverging phase. Okay, the most useful tool that I know to understand your final customer is this map that you see here. This is very famous. Okay, but this gives you and your team, okay, a very basic visual of who is your your user. What do they feel? What do they see? What they say? What they do? What they hear? A lot. Again, we are in the divergent phase. We are in a phase in which we're producing as much as information as possible. Even if we think that this won't be useful for our design process, no, that's a lie. Everything will be useful, even if you discard it later. Sorry. So this is something that is really advised to do when you are starting designing something for someone. Put yourself in the shoes of that someone, and this is a very good tool for that. Don't be worried if the insights that you're gathering in this process are awful, especially when you're designing for a product that is already there. If you're looking for improvements or upgrades of your product, or just adding new features and stuff to your product, it can be that when we are in this research stage, we will find a lot of awful insights, and some people will actually want to hide them or to avoid to communicate it. No, don't do that. We need, again, as much as information as possible in these divergent phases. And if we found evil insight, if we found awful insight, if we found things that make us feel bad because people are not liking this, that is good. Okay, that is good, because acknowledging what is wrong will give you just more information about what you should do to comply to your users' needs and requirements. When we start finding this kind of problems, okay, the 5 whys is a very famous technique. I'm sure this is no new at all for many of you, but in case there is someone there that doesn't know this, well, I'm going to explain it very simply. If you find a problem, you just ask why. To that question, you just ask why again. And to that question, you just ask why again. And that way you start like spotting different causes of that initial problems, and you can spot a very meaningful root cause. Okay, so for example, following this example of this slide, if you run through a red light and you had problem with the police, well, just don't forget to put the alarm clock the night before. This can be very nonsense, as many things in your design thinking process could be very nonsense. But again, when we see in a layer phase the whole picture, these kind of things could give us some information. For more complex projects, I really recommend the fishbone diagram, okay, which is kind of an upgrade of our 5 whys methodology. Okay, if you just need to define one very simple problem or challenge or tension that you have, that you want to solve, okay, and again ask why you have that. Well, in this case, there are 4 areas of whys, so they are starting like giving the different answers to that whys. They are mapping in those areas, and for each of those areas and for each of those things that you found by asking why, you start asking why again. Okay, so at the end you will have these these fishbone diagrams, probably full of shameful things. But again, if you find shame, that's good, because you have work to do. on designing users interviews, okay? This is super important if you guys are designing something for someone which is not in your team, okay? And you think that they belong to your user persona, to your targeted customer, I really encourage you guys to make interviews on that people. Okay, you can make interviews by surveys. Okay, and you can also make interviews by how you said it, by a face-to-face meeting. I know that a face-to-face meeting actually give you more work to do, because yes, if you want to interview a lot of people, well, you need to do a lot of interviews, and each of these interview can last you, I don't know, half an hour, 1 hour maybe. And if you want to interview 20 people, well, maybe you have no bandwidth enough to dedicate 20 hours of effort to this. But if you have 3, 4, or 5 people that you want to interview, I really advise you to interview in a face-to-face way. I have here Eric, this document to share. I think I just want to better to share the whole slides with you guys. So
yeah, you can share the link here. That will be perfect.
Okay. Oh, this is in crap. No, I need to create a new version of this. In the meanwhile, I'm going to share just link with you guys. Okay. Where is this? In the meanwhile, give me please feedbacks. I'm not following the chat room, but again, I just want this to be interactive, guys. Tell me something, please. How is it going? Are you appreciating? I'm seeing that we have more people than when we started, so people are not leaving. This is good.
There was one comment from Jet, by the way, to your previous question, but he didn't speak up. He just wrote in the chat. He answered your question about what is a product, or he not answered, but he made another question: is the product in the blockchain space can be called a DApp?
Can be called?
Can be called a DApp.
Adapt.
A DApp, a decentralized app.
Yes, Adapt is a product, of course. A product is a token. It's a product. Even a community management process could be a product. An article, a communication article, is a product. There are a lot of things that we have products everywhere. This is a product. I have a maraca, that's a product. This is cool. I didn't realize that I have this before. Helmet. But when we're talking about digital products, we tend to more focus on even components. Sometimes a component could be a product, even an infrastructure. You can see a whole blockchain of a product. I mean, and this is where we are going after, when we have many little companies interacting with each other, and not only, but also agents, physical people, bots, using these different components and products with a token incentive system in the middle, then we have an ecosystem. Okay. But we're going to talk about that later. In the meanwhile, yes, I shared you there in the chat the link of the interview, of the user interview thing. Okay. And I promise you guys that before we finish, I will find a way to share the whole deck with you guys. Is that okay?
Awesome. Thank you, Gustavo.
Cool. So let's continue. So, okay, so yes, when you are gathering all this data from assumptions that you made when you're doing your empathy with the users, with some information that you have in your user interviews, or maybe you just have data because you are already working on something, you have out there a product that is live in production, and you have some data from your customers. If you have that, that's also more information to add for this research. Maybe if you have analyzed it a little bit, that will be cool, because in that way you start like sharing insights. And we will arrive a moment in our process in which we will have just tons of informations, and yes, we will find ourselves into chaos. So what do when we do that? Well, we need to start framing all that information. We need to start grouping that into themes, into categories that help us to visualize even a little bit better what we have there. When we're doing this on Miro, this will be very easy because Miro have these framing features, and it's really easy to move components and stick notes from one place to the other. So that's cool. And you can change colors of the stuff, okay? Please build yourself a coding color for what you're doing, and start like organizing that information. You can also make connections about stuff, and just to remember, the objective of all of this is to assure that the different subjectivities from your team, their different understandings of your team, will be aggregated onto a single wall, okay? And there is only one way of graphically communicate what we are doing to that. Again, at the beginning, it will be a chaos. It's okay. It's going to get better through the process. Okay. Also, very consider that I didn't told you this, but here we are actually going from our divergent phase to our convergent phase. We need to do affinity diagrams when we are finishing diverging and we start to converge. So this is practically why we need to order all this information. Another very cool and useful methods, I always use these insight cards, is the insight card, okay? Which is a way to interpret what we have been considering, what we have been doing, okay, with what we have been researching, and put it into theirs. These are some findings, okay, that at the beginning we make things that these findings have something. They will give us something useful. Maybe not per se, okay? Maybe you find some insights that, I don't know, let's call it cake bakery, and this belongs to the theme cooking, okay? And the fact is that, well, you found that when you add flour and eggs to your cakes but not water, the cake is not being made. What is the source of that information? Well, it was an experiment that we did, okay? Well, what are the challenges related to that? We need to find out a way of making cake, okay? These insights could have meaningful information per se, or it couldn't. Okay, but in any case, it's important that we trace it, that we map it, that we put it in our board. Okay, and we have it there. Then we may see if related to others insights, this will actually have sense or no. Okay, so yes, the use opportunity areas. Again, we are starting from the assumption in which what happened here? Okay, in which, well, we are experts in our areas, and we have diverse teams. We have people that know about how to code in Eternity. You have people they know about web page. They have people they know about marketing, about organizations, about stuff. Okay, so when you are organizing this whole information, when you are making your insight cards, the expertise, knowledge, and even the intuition of your team should start like, look, let's mark this area here because I think this is something important. And you can also start to filter out things that you think this is not related to the expertise of your team. You have nothing to do there, or there are simple no opportunities there. Okay, and we will finish this convergent phase with how may we questions, okay, which are just short questions that are scoped to launch brainstorms. How might we are seeds, let's say, for your ideation that somehow falls into our own point of view. We can talk about, again, insights, or even some of the same principles that you want to focus on, or even to aggregate to your predefined defined principles. So how we do select the how might we? Well, we need to create like a small actionable questions that retain our perspective. We need to write down these questions, of course, starting by how might we. Okay. That again, with the focus that this question will trigger brainstorms for solution. Okay. For example, I don't know, if an example is not coming to my mind, sorry, but if you are in I don't know, delivering a solution for a plane, and you have a lot of kids just making a lot of chaos into the plane, and well, a how might we question will be how might we use the kids' energy to entertain even the other passengers. Okay, this is a question like, well, we were focusing on a problem that, yes, we want the kids to shut up, but maybe we can use that energy to create greater good for the other people. So I know that this is a silly question, sorry, but it is what it is. But in any case, it was just an example for sharing a little bit with you what it could be. So in the how might we will arrive here. We don't need that many how might we, okay? But we really need a few, and we really need a few how might we that are related to each other and that are related, of course, to the initial challenge. Okay, it's very probable that when you arrive to this point, okay, you will have things very similar to your initial challenge. Okay, maybe because you are focusing on a problem or a challenge that is just very clear and very not only clear but obvious. Okay, but sometimes actually often, very often, this is not the situation. And when we arrive here, we were just arrived to a deframing of different components that are related to the initial challenge, but it's better. It explains it better. It provides more context. It defines the not only the situation, but also the possibility to tackle that challenge even better. Okay. And it could be actually that this whole first diamond is not needed at all. Okay, I have seen that you actually arrive to the same challenge and the same how my weight that you have in the really beginning, and this is happening just because the team is already focusing on doing the right thing. Okay, so they can also starting from that. Remember what I told you at the beginning of this, of the design thinking modes. You could start here, you could start there, you could start in different modes, but you need to be able to move from one from the other. If you're in your starting point, you are very confident about how you're framing the challenge and what are the how might we that you guys are spotting, you can start directly here. Okay, directly on doing the things right, and you can start with this ideation phase that will be end later in an implementation phase. Okay, so the first thing here is brainstorming. Okay, we have these how might we questions, okay, that trigger this brainstorming that we are doing here. But brainstorming is not just as it's very cool, it can be fun, okay, but it needs to be programmatic. Okay, it needs to be defined. We need to define the scope, we need to define the boundaries of that brainstorming, because yes, we want a little bit of chaos, but not that much. We want our chaos to be productive, not just brainstorming and just start like a 2-hour session of brainstorming that just ends with an entire wall full of post-its that then it will give you even more work, like to select and filter all those bad ideas. So in your brainstorming, you need also to define times and stuff. But I'm giving you more information, because I have then the next slides. So yes, you need what we wanted to what I wanted to achieve with this slide is to recommend you guys that there should be one facilitator in your brainstorming process, one guy that is putting up some rules. You need your brainstorming process to have some rules, just to I don't want to repeat myself. And what are those rules? Where you saw them here. Okay, just make one conversation at a time. You can have like different brainstorming conversations, but just focus it's on one, in one how might we HMW question. Okay, and go for quantity. Okay, you don't need to get their quality in the ideas that you're brainstorming. It's just boom, boom, whatever it comes to your front text in your brain, you just boom, You spit it there. The first things that come to your mind, you are not judgmental with that idea. You just boom, put it in a sticker and put it into your wall. I recommend this to be 2 or 3 minute sessions per session. You can do several sessions, but each of these sessions should be time framed, not more than 3 or 4 minutes. When you finish one brainstorming session and you see you didn't have enough ideas, well, then you open a second session on the same topic, okay? But then you can even change some rules. You can encourage wild ideas. You can be visual, like adding graphics and draws onto your post-its. But most important, you can even build on the ideas of others. So if in your second or third session of brainstorming, you can actually take a minute to look at the wall to see what your teammates have been building in these synchronized activities that you are doing, and then build on top of that. Complement those ideas that are already on the wall, and again, produce as much as possible. Okay. Yeah, just a reminder, the time rule is an important rule as well. Define a limit of time for each of your brainstorming sessions. Okay. Mind maps is always a useful tool. If you guys want to, again, if you guys want to have questions or whatever, I heard some
yeah,
noise.
because there's several comments and questions here.
Cool.
First of all, was why should we build, or why should we not build websites? So I guess it was taken from your slide where it said build digital services and not websites.
I don't know.
It was about the design principles, digital design principles.
No, well, again, I don't have idea. That was just an example. That was something that those guys just designing for them. I don't have the idea of what these guys were designing or what were their purpose, but they just decided that way. This is not for you. These are just examples.
Then Oluwatosin also had the question, apart from keeping things visual, is there any other functions that Miro performs? Or Miro, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Other functions, yeah, you can do storytelling, you can do role-playing, you can write down stuff. Yeah, I've seen also people doing mimic with within their team just to try to communicate an idea. Yes, I mean visual is like the main thing in design thinking, but if you want to excite other senses, yes, I think the better. Visual thinking is just like the most feasible thing that we can do.
Then there was also a question by Jeremiah, like a more open question. During the product designing, what part should I pay most attention to?
To your user. To your user, to the people that will be using your product, to their behaviors, to their things, to their thoughts. That once you understand your users, their point of pains, the opportunity of gains that your user have, and then the rest of product making is very easy and straightforward.
And what is the general tip to stay motivated?
To stay motivated, well, the purpose of your team is the main source of motivation. Why you guys have been gathered together to do this. It can happen that when we team up with people that we don't know, a lot of frictions will begin to start. Okay, and a lot of conflicts will start, and this will be very demotivational from the people. Okay, when these conflicts arise, I think the most important thing is to use your user as an oracle, the data as an oracle. You need to identify insights as unique source of truth. Okay, when you have those insight cards, when you have those deduce things from your customers' behaviors, you will be able to, yes, this is our unique source of truth. Maybe you were thinking this, maybe I was thinking the other ones, but dude, this is what the user wants. So let's move on this, and let's try to empathize again with the user and with their needs to keep motivated. And of course, the price at the end of the day is also a good source of motivation.
And then finally, also a question from Oluwatosin, but it's also referring to the digital design principles. What does do less entail?
Yeah, again, the design principles is just a conversation for your team. It's up to you guys to get together. What are your core values? What are the kind of users that you are targeting? What is the skill set within your team? What resources do you have within your team? Having the discussion about all of this and getting together on, guys, we want to do stuff like this, like this, like this, and like this, is a good way to start writing out on the same principles. The same principle is not strictly necessary. Sometimes it actually adds more complexity for your team that it could be provider solutions. So if you find define principles nonsense and you're taking too much time in that, just skip that. Again, the different set of tools that I'm sharing today are being shared in a very generic way that could fit into different teams, that could fit or not into different teams and situations. So everything that I'm telling here today is to be questioned, is to be, yeah, this is useful. I think that I can use this for my team, or I don't see any sense in doing what Gustavo is telling. Yeah, that is okay, better, because each of our context and knowledge and expertise is different. So we shouldn't wait that all of that. We shouldn't expect that all I'm sharing today will be useful to you guys. So one more question.
There's one more follow-up question from Jeremiah. He's asking, when you say the price, what do you exactly refer to? But I don't understand what he actually... Oh, now he wants to speak. Cool.
Yeah, to the hackathon price, to the rewards, to what will be the result when you finish your work, and how will you be rewarded by that? You also have rewards from time point of view. Motivations from different point of view. The first motivation is what put you in that situation in the first place. What would you think that doing that you will be feeling good? Otherwise you wouldn't be hacking in a hackathon. So what were your purpose? And the other sort of motivation is what is waiting for me at the end of the road. Okay, what is that? When we finish this hard work, what I'm getting? No, that was just related to the motivation question.
Okay, cool. Jeremiah, do you want to add anything else?
Not much. I was just confused in the first place because I was listening and I came to realize that sometimes we don't have to be motivated by the money. So I just wanted you to clarify that it's not the money that will make you to stay motivated, but something else. That's what I just wanted you to clarify on the first place. But
Yeah,
thank
no,
you.
no,
I
totally.
now understand you very well.
Totally. I completely agree with what you said. And if you got me that money is a source of motivation, it was just a topping. Okay, and of course we shouldn't be doing things out of money. But since you're talking about motivation and incentive, this is an important part that we're going to speak about in the next part. When we start talking about ecosystems. So yes, min maps, if you like to use this tool, I think that people know how to use that. Well, start doing things, that's okay. It's just a way to organize better your brainstorming. But then when we are into this process of generating a lot of ideas, we need to start selecting stuff. Okay, we need to start filtering out things that we maybe don't want to, or again we have different point of view within our teams. Okay, so one very useful tool for selecting ideas, for selecting proposals, okay, is the dot voting. Okay, you can assign 3, 5, 10 votes. It's up to you, to each member of your design team. Okay, and then put some rules on that. Well, add the more points to that things that you think we should be focusing on, or what is more necessary, and so on. So dot voting is something that you could be using very much during these processes. Another way to select stuff, I like this very much, okay, because it helps you to map what kind of solutions you could be working on, okay. And if you select these two axes, in which the one axis is how feasible or viable this idea is, against how valuable it will be by your user, or how it is desired by the user, or how innovative you could be. This also goes into the second axis. From here, of course, we will tend to everything that is here, which is not feasible nor desirable or valuable. We will discard them. This square here is the first things that we are going to discard. We might be focusing in things that are very feasible and viable, but not very desirable. It depends. Usually, it will depend very much of the kind of problem that you're tackling, or the kind of market that you're tackling. And maybe if you are talking about components for a bigger product or something like that, it could have sense that you guys consider some of the ideas that you find in this square. Here on the top right, these are the easiest things to select, right? Like, okay, this is desirable and this is viable. Okay, let's go for that. But when we find ideas that are actually very valuable and desirable, and we find them that they are not feasible or viable enough, make attention. Make attention, because usually these kind of ideas are could be Pandora boxes, could be an arc of alliance, could be the solutions for the world problems, okay? But we are not having them because, of course, they are not feasible or viable. But if any of your team, if any person of your team have, I don't know, the knowledge or the skills, or can point out that this could be actually very feasible if you solve another solutions, that will be super interesting, okay? Because if you focus on build valuable and desirable ideas that haven't been feasible by other people, then you have a big opportunity to do a rockstar solution. Of course, it will be more difficult, but you know what they say, no pain, no gain. So again, this is just another way to selecting ideas. And a third way is just screaming up bingo when you are in your brainstorming sessions and discussing that. Maybe someone in the team, maybe there is a team leader, or it depends up to you how you want to organize each other's in your teams. But as long as there is consensus on, yes, let's do that and let's decide this, yeah, you don't need to do the voting, you don't need to do the matrix, you just go after you found, and that's it. But of course, just assure that people in your team are actually following you that idea, that is something feasible, viable, and desirable by your business. Okay, so again, starting by the last converging phase, in which we start to implement. A really nice way to start this phase is with building a classical business model canvas. Okay, it's just one place in which you can place all the important information that is useful for the business or the product that you want to deliver. In hackathons, something this is useful, something is not, because hackathons usually are more focused on the technical solution, on just building a great prototype. Hackers don't care if there is what are the marketing activities, how we will be channeling our relationship with customers, or even the cost structure. What do the hackers cares about that? I'm not telling you that you should be caring, okay? But what I can tell you is that if you include business model canvas information in your final delivery of your hackathon, and you are able to communicate with the judges that you are caring about how to market your solution and how feasible it is, and even about if you're caring about how much it costs you and how much you will be revenuing from it. These are just cherry on the tops, okay, that you can have in your hackathon delivery. And here we start also like to see, this is actually a very new model. I haven't used it this much, but I just invite you guys to experiment. This is a token model canvas proposed by these guys, in which he just split, like 2 different macro sections. One is the market layer, of course, your users, and what is the ledger layer, like the infrastructures, the providers, the people actually proposing that solution. So also filling those is a good thing.
Sorry, Gus, are you showing slides? Because I cannot see them.
Yeah, I've been showing slides for quite a while.
Okay, I thought you were just talking openly. I don't see the slides. I don't know if anyone else can see them. Please, if you see them, let me know. But I also checked on the live stream and I also didn't see them there.
Okay, yeah, we'll stop sharing. No, this was the chat. Very sorry about that. Yes, now.
Yeah, now I can see your screen. Cool.
Okay, just to put you in situation. Yes, you remember seeing these slides?
No.
Okay, this is the very important that I want you guys to see. Very sorry you weren't following this. I guess that you were like, what the heck is this guy talking about? So yes, I mean, going back, we're in our brainstorms. We select a lot of ideas, and then we need to select and filter out. So here, dot voting. Just distribute some dots that will represent a vote to your team, like, for example, 3 dots per person, and select. Another idea for selection, this feasibility against valuability matrix. Okay? Put your ideas there, which is more viable than others. Okay? Compare them against each other. Place it in your map. Go for those opportunities that are very feasible and viable, but as well as valuable and desirable. Usually, if a thing is in the top right, like here, is because someone else already did it. Okay, so if you find stuff here that is very, very valuable, but maybe not that much feasible or viable, well, have a look, because maybe you're having something here in this square. The bingo thing that you should remember, just, yes, I found the right idea, let's do that. Just assure that your team is in line. The business model canvas, I'm sure that this is not the first time that you're seeing this. And here is where we stopped. So yes, the token utility canvas, in which you start like empathizing a little bit with the behaviors of your users. We're going to speak more about that in details later. Coming to an end of what is very important for you, the same process, and this is also almost at the end of this, is the user stories. Okay, we need to learn and understand how to propose a good user stories. Okay, the user story have 5 components that are enclosed in this post-it here. The first one is the username. And I'm not talking about Ricardo or Raul that are our users of our platform. No, I'm talking about the typology of users. Okay, like I'm iPhone owner. Okay, that's the first component, the username. The second component is the action. What I want to achieve, what kind of I want to do in this story. For example, as an iPhone owner, I can take and store pictures on my phone. Okay. And then the third component, and this is very, very important, that I've seen a lot of people just forget about that, is the value statement. Okay, it's the why we want that users to do that action. This is super important, especially to decide on priorities of this, or even to provide developers more insights about what we're doing and why we're doing that. The fourth component is the acceptance criteria. Okay. For example, if as an iPhone owner, I can't make pictures and store them so that I can share that with my friends. Okay. Acceptance criteria will be something like a photo is taken, a photo is stored, a photo is shared. No? An example more related to our context here is, as a token holder, I can redeem my tokens so that I retrieve some AE from a collateral contract. Okay, this is maybe made no sense for that if you are not sharing a node context, which I'm not, but just this is an example. And then define your acceptance criteria there. We need also to understand how to make sequence about these user stories and transform different user stories into a user journey. Okay, what will be the user's PLB experience from the really beginning till the end of that? How many steps are in that process? What are the opportunities into every single step of those? And of course, what is the describe a little bit the scenario and what are the goals of expectation of this? This is just an example of what a user mapping could be. And this is just coming to an end. Allow yourself to impose your constraints. Allow yourself to have some adversarial thinking within your team, because it's only when we are confronting ideas and ideas when we can make that better. So be open to that. Don't get frustrated if you're in your team is the troll or if the adversarial thinking guy. Just be conscious that could happen, and that at the end of the day that will be something very useful. And then for the prototyping, well, depending of the solutions that you guys will have, well, you start like putting in, for example, in Figma, how do you foresee this web application will be? You can also put what you're decided in your user mapping in Figma. Or maybe you don't need Figma. Maybe you just need a paper and a pencil, and you do your stuff there, and then you take a photo and put it on the Miro board. But giving the team itself the feel that they have in the product in their hands before they do is very crucial in order to identify opportunities, to identify problems, so we can go back and get better what we are doing there. Okay, and we will end with a minimum viable product. Okay, even if we are not in the hackathon, we're focusing on a prototype, on a product very, very specific. Okay, please try the products to be functional, reliable, usable, and even delightful. Okay, if you have very nice graphics and stuff there, because the most you cover all those areas, the more feedback you can have from your market, the more validation you can have, and the more way of improving their product you will have then in a better phase. Okay, don't focus it, of course, on just making it functional. Okay, you need to make it usable, even if the functions are short at the really beginning. That's okay, but don't forget about the other stuff. And here the hyper sprint. This is just a very hardcore design thinking process, which will take you guys. This is like a recipe, okay, a sequential recipe on how to do many things of what we have been talking today. Tomorrow we have a session we have a workshop in which I will like to experiment with these specific tools. We will have a couple of hours to make team buildings and to make some exercises on to kick off what it will be the design of a product that might be or not developed into this hackathon. But tomorrow we're doing this. So if you guys are interested, if you guys want to experience this in your own hands, and then go back to your teams and to do that, see you. Let's see this tomorrow for.
Ibi tí bọ̀nà bá dà tí ìdùnnú bá wà bẹ̀ là ń lọ o. Feminist àlọ́ ọmọgán ló ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ìyàwó mi wà lẹ́kọ̀ọ́.
Okay.
Ayọ̀mọ̀ bí ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì wo a ti fẹ́ dóra wa pa. Yọ ayọ̀.
What's happening? Okay, cool. Thank you. So I'll continue. Whoa. Okay. So yes, introduction to ecosystem design. So far, again, we have talk about the really Web 2 but very useful mentality, okay, in which we have an organization producing something for a market. Then this market will answer back with their iteration of the product, with their data, with their money, whatever, okay? It's a two-way system. When we're talking about ecosystems, we are adding several levels of complexity to what we are designing, because we are not talking about just point A, point B, but we are talking about environments which will have a lot of diverse agents within that. They will have inputs, they will have outputs, they will have feedback loops, okay? So there are a lot of challenges there. When we're talking about designing ecosystems, we need specifically into the blockchain context, we need to understand that we are migrating from an old business model mindset, okay, to a new economic model mindset. If you ask me what is the business model of Instagram, well, it's on marketing and advertising. Okay, that's cool. But what is the business model of Bitcoin? Bitcoin doesn't have a business model at all. And how can we sustain Bitcoin if it doesn't have a business model? Because it has a different model, even better. It has an economic model. Won't discuss into the economic models of Bitcoin, but we can't emulate that with the things that we will build up. Okay, it's important that new structures come to with new mindset. Okay, if we are just talking about ecosystem design just because it's a buzzword and a fancy word, but we are still in the old mindset of me, I have to be the owner of my startup and I want to be millionaire in 2-3 years because I will have an exit, you are in the wrong place. Okay, we need to start engaging with a mindset in which the ecosystem and the value is more distributed, okay, in which you are not the one selecting and deciding over the people. You're just one more into the group, even if you are the one who started it. On more collaboration rather than competition, okay, we need to start shaping those kind of mindset before doing that. And of course, value networks give us new network challenges, okay, because the externalities of the things that we produce are really difficult to predict, are difficult to measure, as well as the incentives. Now we need to understand what are the different incentives of the different agents that will belong to our ecosystem, understand what kind of products and services do I need to put in place to drive a common action on those different agents. This is a process proposed by the Token Engineering Academy for ecosystem design and delivery, which starts, I'm going to talk today a little bit about this early stage, okay, in which we're starting like designing our ecosystem, and we design its economic model, how dynamic it will be. And then the recommendations from the Token Engineering Academy is then to pass through different simulation and verification processes, okay, in which we are modeling how our system will be, and using also some computational tools, computational-aided design tools for simulate. Okay, we can even simulate the behaviors of our agents in whatever socioeconomic system that we are designing. The software for that is named called CAD, but go for the Token Engineering Academy and you will find that information there. So how do you start to design your ecosystem? As always, you start by purpose. You need to figure out what is that single purpose that sorry, something is happening here. Yeah, you need to find and define among your team what is that single purpose that will motivate common action, not common action of your team, common action of the whole ecosystem of all the different agents that we are considering there. Then we're talking about agents. Who are the agents belonging to this ecosystem? Who do you rely on that your idea will be possible? Who will be adding and extracting value from your ecosystem? Here you map vendors, here you map sponsors, here you map communities, here you map users, here you map governments, here you map everyone. It's also important here, okay, that when you are doing this, you might find even ecosystem within ecosystem, okay? That level of complexity is also found, okay? Because I don't have that image here, but I will add for the next iteration of these slides, that one system also always belongs to a bigger and a bigger system. So the idea here is to map every single agent, but if somehow you find and you want to put another ecosystem that is interacting with the agents of another subsystem, is the word, that is interacting with the agent of your ecosystem, is also very important to map it here, okay? Then you will see if you want to be fractal and map the subsystem will be within the system. That will be up to you. Then for each one of these agents, okay, or stakeholders, we need to profile them. Just give them a name, communicate the characteristics that define this stakeholder in particulars. But more important, you need to trace here what are their valuable contributions, what are the tangible and intangible resources that they add to our system. And most importantly, what are their motivations? Okay, how these motivations are aligned with the purpose, or if even more important, how those motivations work against the ecosystem purpose. this will be also useful for policies, okay, that we'll be defining in a later phase. We will talk about that. Again, don't worry if this is information, is this complete information, you're not having it there. I will share these slides, okay? So yes, very important. You don't do this work only once. You have to do this work for each of the agents that you are profiling here in your ecosystem map, okay? Once you have the profiling of all those agents, well, you can build up your motivation matrix, okay? And you can start defining what is the interaction that your agents will have among each other, okay? In both senses, okay? You will have, of course, this gray squares, because stakeholder ones give to a stakeholder one something, you don't need to trace that. But what the stakeholder ones give to stakeholder two, and vice versa, and the other way around, you need to define that as well. So that's why you find this matrix built as it is, okay? Stakeholder motivations, stories and motivations. So yes, here is really similar to our user stories for the product design that we talked about before, but here is more focused on actions and motivations, okay, of every single agent. You need to add some specifications about how would your scene can be. You can have more than one stories per stakeholders. Don't worry. This could be very, very, very complex, especially if you want to do every single stakeholder with every single relation with every single stories. You could end up into tons of information that you're doing here. So don't be very strict. This is just a recommendation that you're doing. Focus in the beginning on making those stakeholder stories that you find more meaningful and more relevant, okay, to continue your work. Then when you complete the first iteration on your ecosystem design and you notice that you're missing more information, you can go back to those stakeholders stories that you haven't made and start doing it. So you will add more interactions and more possibilities to your ecosystems. So we are talking here about, okay, I'm missing another slide here, or maybe not. No, it's coming later. We are talking here a lot about designing incentive, okay? And I just wanted to put this from a Medium article that I'm not quoting here. Very sorry. This is from Trent McGonaghy. He's the co-founder of Ocean Protocols. And yeah, he's a token engineer, one of the first pioneers in token engineers, if not the first. And so, yes, the phrase is very simple. Show me the incentive and I will show you the outcome. So put it very simple. We can't manipulate people's behaviors with incentive, okay? With incentive, we can get people to do stuff just because we're rewarding them with tokens. So we need to be very aware of what we're doing. Please, if you think this is going towards mass manipulation machine, be very careful. And how do you tackle that? One very important way to tackle that is, of course, with decentralized governance. So yes, this is a little bit of yes. Okay, it's all about governance. It's about distributing governance and putting the right incentive mechanism there in order to actually we are avoiding to manipulating just other people just because of our own benefits. The idea with shaping behaviors is not that bad per se, because if you see how humanity is right now, how it's behaving, how the wealth is actually distributed, and that's a mess. So changing the incentive, it's something that we may do, that we shall do, okay? But again, we need to be very, very cautious with that. And always looking to decentralize the decision when we are designing an ecosystem, okay? We need to go into DAO mode sooner or later. This is my personal theory that in few dozens of years, every single organization will be a DAO or sort of DAO, but don't believe me, please. This is just my bias. But here again, I'm leaving you here another Canvas tool on how to build up a DAO. If you are into DAOs, if the solution, in case that the solutions that you're tackling involve a DAO somehow, it doesn't have to, of course. This is just a short take about what a DAO is. This is my own definition. It's a peer-to-peer association of people with a common purpose that just gather together on their binding and bonding smart contracts. DAO is generally aimed to handle a set of resources that belongs to the commons. That is a common good, a common resource. And the ownership over these commons usually can be represented by a token that will be minted and distributed according to established policies. And who established the policies? The design system. And this is why we need it to be decentralized. Okay, so when you are designing for governance, this is a very super useful tools that is coming from Elinor Ostroms. If you guys don't know Ostroms, she is the economist of the new century. Again, this is in my own opinion. But she is the one that actually dismantled the tragedy of the commons theory, which says that we humans cannot organize to have common resources. And Elinor Ostroms told that guy, no, look, you're wrong. We can, okay? It's difficult, but it's already happening in different contexts and different communities in our planet, okay? So after her research, she found out that those communities that were actually governing the commons in a successful way, they were sharing these 8 design principles, okay? Which is very important for you guys to go by one, and I really advise you that. I mean, this is basically a requirement. If you are willing to design a complete ecosystem, governance is something that should be in your main focus and attention. Yes, have a read in this, and we are almost finishing, guys. So yes, then we need to start mapping a little bit how our ecosystem will be, okay, and how the value is being transferred. So what we can do that is just to gather information that we collected before and transform that into graphics, okay, and to order it better and to interrelate the different agents among each other. So how do you do that? You do that with an stock-flow diagram approach, in which you start to define your stakeholders of a stock, okay, because the stakeholders are the ones that are providing, keeping, and also extracting value, while the flows are the mechanisms in which these guys are actually doing that, okay. After that, yes, okay. After that, yes, from your stakeholder stories, you will identify the policies understood as even control mechanisms, if you want to, things that are measuring behaviors or measuring data, and depending of that input of that data, the system will take the decision to do something or to do another thing. So you represent that policy with a rhombus. And yes, environmental processes that represent eventualities that could somehow impact to your system, even if they don't belong to your system itself. When you do that, okay, you will find something like this. You can go to do this again in the Miro or Google. I think it's Google Charts, Google Flows, Google Draw. Google Draw has also very cool features to map system like this one. And final thoughts on decentralization. I know I could be. Maybe I was interpreted a little bit as a decentralization maximalist when I told you, guys, you are modeling and you are influencing on people behavior. So the decision on this should be decentralized, but exactly, because not everything is beautiful in decentralization, especially when you are starting your ecosystem or your product, and your product is not mature, and it can have vulnerabilities if you decentralize the decision power to communities. Okay, so this is a take of a playbook shared by A16Z, which is a venture fund, okay, which is called Progressive Decentralizations, that I wanted to share with you guys. That is, this is just an opinion, this is just a take. Maybe you want to decentralize from the very beginning, and for your case, it will be useful. But generally speaking, I personally find that decentralization is the last thing that you do. Okay, the first thing is to find a product market fit. Okay, you need to assure that you are building a product that people want. You're building things that people are wanting and delivering, and they will be using. Okay, once you have been proven that, well, you build your community around your product. You start to give brief incentive. You start to give some ownership to your more engaged community members. Okay, and then you start to transfer the ownership. Yes, ownership. We need to transfer ownership of our whole project to our ecosystem, engaging our users as shareholders, engaging our vendors, our producers as shareholders, with a token that represents ownership, in my belief, again, I'm influencing a lot here, but in my belief, is one of the big changes that are coming to all the industries in the next few decades. So yes, I think it's okay to start thinking about that. So this is it, guys. Almost 2 hours, almost complete 2 hours. So I'm not sure if you want to comment something. I see there is some chat here, but up to you, Eric.
There was one final remark from Jet about the whole thing about from the digital design principles, whether or not to build websites, from the phrase build digital services, not websites. And he wrote an excerpt about an answer from a friend about that topic. But I think we will not go too much into depth. Well, we're already on 2 hours time. It would be great if you can share the slides afterwards, because there are like so many techniques, so many models, ecosystem, token design, like everything. And I think people would like to have a closer look to it, because here it was really little to see. Like many of these things that were shown in the slides, they were like very small. So it was great. It would be great if we can have that to watch it later. Like.
Yeah, what I'm doing is, I think I'm going to save this as a PDF. I'm going to share it. You told me where to share it.
You can just share it to me, and I will add it to the resources in Devpost, and we can just share the link around then.
Okay. I really expect you guys enjoyed this session. The number of attendees here decreased, so that's a very good metric for me. I'm very happy. And please, if you're hacking, if you want some support from me, I'm part of the mentors of the whole hackathon. I'll be there supporting you with specifically on these matters. If you want me to help you, finding or facilitating methodologies and tools to move forward with your challenges and problems, you find me in Slack. I'm Gus.
Thank you, Gus. And it was really a great class. I will have to rewatch everything to digest.
And again, tomorrow at 4:00, we are going to do a small exercise with the people that show up. And yes, tomorrow it will be more you than me. Okay, so if people will not participating, I think we won't be doing anything, but okay, I will be there just hanging around.
Yeah, looking forward to meet you all, guys, and I hope we can build some great hackathon teams.
I think this is nice hoodie.
What a master class. Thanks a lot. It has been amazing.
Great. I'm happy you like it. Take care, guys.
See you around.
Have a great